Israel releases more plans for on its Rafah strategy. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's ordered the military to prepare a plan to evacuate civilians from Rafah ahead of an expected Israeli invasion of the densely populated southern Gaza city. The announcement comes after heavy international criticism, including from the US, of Israeli intentions to move ground forces into the city. Rafah borders Egypt and is now home to hundreds of thousands of people living in sprawling tent camps after fleeing fighting elsewhere in Gaza. Israel says that after more than 4 months of war, Rafah's the last remaining Hamas stronghold in Gaza. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The United Arab Emirates said it succeeded in mediating the release of 100 Russian prisoners of war in exchange for 100 war prisoners from the Ukrainian side. Alice Rizzo has more.
Russia's defense ministry, Ukrainian President Zelensky, and the Ukrainian body overseeing the exchange noted the UAE's humanitarian mediation. The UAE's foreign ministry said it's the third mediation effort between Russia and Ukraine this year, adding that it is calling for diplomacy, dialogue and de-escalation, Emirates news agency reported. Russia's defense ministry said returning soldiers would undergo medical examinations in Moscow, while Ukraine's coordinating committee said 28 of the returning servicemen were injured or ill. It said 84 had taken part in the defense in Mariupol, with the others serving in other parts of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, partly occupied by Russian forces. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry's Intelligence Directorate's head, Kirilo Budanov, told reporters that 3,135 Ukrainian war prisoners had now been brought home.
Alice Rizzo from Reuters. For additional stories 24 hours a day, visit voanews.com. This is VOA News. Now, more than 4 months after the October 7th Hamas terror attack in southern Israel, Israelis are still grappling with the consequences of the intrusion on their territory, the trauma to their families, and concerns about the future. VOA's Celia Mendoza reports from Jerusalem.
David Katz lives far from the Gaza border, in the town of Mevatzeret Zion, near Jerusalem. From here, he can hear the daily sound of Israel's Iron Dome defense system shooting down rockets from Gaza. For Katz, the memory of October 7 is something he lives with daily.
It was just the most shocking, horrible day of our 34 years of permanently living in Israel.
And the worries are far from over for Katz. Katz's two sons, his daughter-in-law and his son-in-law, are serving in the Israel Defense Forces. Celia Mendoza, VOA News, Jerusalem.
Calls for Hungary's conservative president to resign grew on Friday amid outrage over the pardoning of a person convicted of covering up a child's sexual abuse case. Katalin Novak, the first female president in Hungary's history, sparked indignation after it was revealed that she issued a presidential pardon last April to a man convicted of hiding a string of child sexual abuses in a state-run children's home. Hungary's opposition parties have called for her ouster and initiated an ethics proceeding against her in parliament. One of the sex abuse survivors has publicly expressed dismay over the pardon and called on Novak to provide an explanation. Key funding to counter China in the Pacific was removed from a spending package under consideration by U.S. lawmakers on Capitol Hill. VOA's Jessica Stone reports.
Last year, 3 Pacific nations, the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, and Palau, signed a 20-year extension of the deal for $7 billion in U.S. economic assistance. Those funds were included in must-pass legislation for weeks, but on February 4th, they were dropped. Democrat Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii calls it a major disappointment.
It was not in there, so I am doing my very best to get it back in, as I said to you earlier, to put Humpty Dumpty back together in a bipartisan way.
Hirono says she will add the funds to a new security bill which includes monies for Ukraine, Israel, and the Indo-Pacific. And in the meantime, she will focus on educating her peers. Jessica Stone, VOA News, Washington.
North Dakota would be the first state to set an age limit for congressional candidates under a measure that could go before voters in June. The ballot initiative proposes that no one who turns 81 by the end of their term could be elected or appointed to North Dakota's U.S. House or Senate seats. The topic of age has taken center stage in Congress and the current presidential race. Supporters of the measure on Friday submitted nearly 42,000 signatures, far more than the roughly 31,000 required to qualify for the June 11th ballot.
Thank you for watching. Can you do me a favor? Please leave a comment in the comments section below. That would really help. Thank you, and see you again soon.